This right here is my 2021 T7. I bought it a few years ago with only like 900 Ks on the clock. It was completely stock. I've done heaps of stuff to it. I've logged many hours on this bike. The F900 I don't own, but BMW Moto Australia sent it out to me last year. Had it for about 6 weeks in preparation for a big old adventure rally, my very first adventure rally, where I also rode the F900 thanks to BMW Motorrad Philippines. The whole team had them. We took them through everything, man. Mud, climbed a volcano, I dropped it, you know, just did all the stuff. Then also I just came off the BMW GS Safari with BMW Motorrad Australia, and I chose the F900 again, just because it's awesome. So I'm gonna share with you my experience on both machines. I've got plenty of hours on the F900, I've got plenty of hours on this. This is coming from a non-pro ADV background. I practiced and learnt on the T7 first, which I do not recommend. If you wanna see this in a bit more detail, I've got a build series, I've got a review. I'll link the videos at the end of the video and here as well. Big thank you to Rec Watches for sponsoring this episode. This watch I'm wearing right now has parts of Evel Knievel's motorcycle built into the watch. It's called the TTT Knievel, and it's built using the handlebar levers from Evel Knievel's actual stunt bike. The Harley XR 750 he used in his infamous shark jump back in 1977. If you don't know who Evel Knievel is, imagine the most fearless madmen of the 60s and 70s launching over buses, cars, basically anything that could kill you. He was a showman, a daredevil, and a legend. Rec has taken those levers and reforged them into the star that sits right here on the dial. Only 736 of these exist, Swiss made, and this model even has a rotating dial you can turn 30 degrees with the crown. Perfect for reading the time while riding. Awesome gift, man. Father's Day, birthdays, Christmas, anything. Use code Feelz40 and you'll get 40% off this bad boy. So thank you so much, Rec Watches, for sponsoring this episode. Let's get into it. You guys would have heard this so many times with the T7. They're very top heavy and they're pretty high as well. So as soon as like you have a little divot or whatever, you go to put your foot down and the bike just leans a little bit. If you're not ready for it, it's just gonna drop. Starting out, if you're not very good at adventure riding, or it's your first time or you don't do it all the time, the T7's a struggle. Oh, so fun. Particularly when you're starting off. Now, what I found when I first picked up the F900 is that it was extremely well balanced, especially at low speed. I felt like I could just maneuver technical stuff, technical terrain, could move around. I didn't feel like the bike was heavy at all, but it is heavier. The wet weight of the F900 is 219 kilos and the T7 is 205. Well, my one is in particular, it's 205. The regular viewers would know that I had a bit of a stack on the T7. I was doing a wheelie, came off and really injured my wrist. It's still quite tender. This was in 2023. I lost my confidence completely. I was terrified of this thing. Took me a while to start getting back into it, but then after practicing with the F9, I built my confidence up with that. And then when I came back to this, I felt way better and I could start doing stuff again. And in my opinion, a pretty good bike to start off with for adventure riding. Feels comfortable, it's very maneuverable, more than this. Now, like I said, I took the F900 out on a big old adventure rally in the Philippines. I've ridden in mud a couple of times and it's not the most pleasant thing. I was riding the base variant of the F900 GS and there was mud galore. And for some reason, I felt so totally comfortable riding the F900. I didn't actually drop it. I didn't drop the F900 in the mud part. This variant was a little bit lower. I don't know the ride height, but it was lower. So, you know, there is that confidence that you can just put your foot down and save a drop or whatever. I found that the feel of being able to just slowly power it through the mud, it was all there. I felt in control of the bike most of the time. I mean, the tires helped as well, but I feel like if I took this and did the exact same thing, I would have struggled a lot more just because of the height and the top heaviness. And even, I guess, like maybe even the riding modes help as well. You can dial everything in on the F900 and you can pretty much tune it to whatever you're going to be riding. If you're going to be riding in mud, you can back off the responsiveness of the throttle. And by the way, the whole route for that rally was designed using the F900 GS. So it's a capable machine. And then when we hit the road and you know, Philippines, you got traffic everywhere and it's just, you know, it's all chaotic. And it always brings a smile to your face, especially when you just open it up and you're just flicking through the gears, just hammering it. It's got some balls, man. It goes 105 horsepower with 93 Newton meters of torque, where the T7 has 72 horsepower with 68 Newton meters of torque. Far less powerful than the F900 GS. And yeah, you can feel it. I still feel like the T7 is plenty plenty though. If it was any more, man, because there's no traction control on these, your back end would just be flying out everywhere. But being able to just like smash through gears, cruising through traffic on the F900, amazing. Awesome for city riding, awesome for maneuvering, awesome for pinning it. In terms of the tech and everything like that, there was a time when we were climbing up a volcano. I dropped it a couple of times. I think it was more to do with the settings. I mean, like, you know, I was exhausted as well, but there's settings in there that you need to really fine tune in order to climb some pretty hectic stuff, you know? So if you're gonna be doing some serious off-roading, you really need to get in there and adjust the throttle, responsiveness, and all that sort of stuff, the traction, the ABS. Where with the T7, there's nothing. It's just go. ABS on and off, that's all. Which do I prefer? For consistency's sake, I think I prefer the T7 for that reason, because it can just get you unstuck. If you're not familiar with how to dial everything in and all that, and you don't really want to be messing around with everything, then you're not getting the most out of the F900. But with the T7, because there's nothing there, it's just all feel and you're connected to the bike, you know? Fuel capacity is 16 litres on this and 14.5 litres on the F900 GS. And you get roughly around 370 kilometres out of a tank on the T7 and about 330 kilometers out of a tank on the F900. The range is noticeably shorter on the F900, especially when I was riding on the GS Safari. The GS Safari, man, like it was GS heaven. Now with the F900 being the athletic version of the GS, has a smaller tank, far less mileage than everyone else. The very first day, people were getting down to only a few kilometers before we hit the next petrol station. So it's definitely noticeable. The fuel consumption's around 4.4 litres per 100 kilometers, where with the T7, it's 4.3 litres per 100 kilometers. So they're roughly the same there, but this just has the larger tank capacity. Keep that in mind. If you're planning on doing massive rides, yeah, the F900, I feel like it runs out pretty fast. With the T7, I have had a few close calls running out of fuel, but I mean, like once it starts flashing, you can still get about 100 Ks out of your reserve. So you're still pretty safe, but you know, you can get the Safari tanks and everything like that and get more range out of it that way. Luggage. What I did find with the F900, you know, we're using the Moscow Reckless system. I did it here with the Reckless 80 and then the Reckless 40 in the Philippines. There's no support around the back. See the T7 here, it's got this support here. So the bags can sort of lay on it. Everything's all sort of nice and solid. But with the F900, there's none of that there. It's just got that really nice sort of tail end. It looks cool. I found it to be way less functional than the T7. There's not many tie down points, you know, even just poles to strap your gear up to. But there are a whole bunch of brackets and base plates and everything. So you can tour with the F900, no dramas at all. In terms of tech, it's either you love tech or you hate tech, you know what I mean? It can help you. And like I said, it can get you stuck as well. The F900 has a whole bunch, man. It's got so much. It comes with all your heated grips. It's got your keyless entry. It's got your fob. It's even got electronic steering lock, which I'm a bit like, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and your bike went flat and you got your steering lock on, yeah, you're pretty much done skis. You can't even just wheel your bike anywhere. It's locked electronically. So you need to power it up to be able to just even unlock your handlebars. And there was an instance when I was doing the FJ rally that the key fob just disconnected from the bike. So if the bike turned off, you wouldn't be able to turn it back on again. Just those little things, like just, you know, give me old school. It's an adventure bike. I want old school, key in, ignition on, bang, let's go, you know, less worries. Obviously cruise control, amazing for just cruising down the freeway. And I absolutely love the quick shifter. Everything else, I don't really need. I'm not really fussed. There's a lot of stuff on the F900 and I'm not too fussed about it at all. And I feel like if you have an adventure bike and you're taking it out and you're doing some serious stuff, that you would want something that you can sort of just repair on the side of the road with ease. Okay, so we've spoken about all the things that I like about the F900 and the T7. We've compared the rideability, the user friendliness, and beginner friendliness as well. Now for the things I'm not too fussed on. The F900's windscreen does barely anything, man. It's non-adjustable, it's just there. You still cop everything in your face. It protects a little bit on your chest, but it doesn't do much. Don't expect too much from it. The T7, it shoots the wind up to about, I reckon, your forehead, but I've got the sliders on mine and you can raise the windscreen up much higher and it literally takes everything away from your face. So if you're doing long stretches, yeah, it's far more comfortable. With the rear brake on the F900, oh my gosh, if you have a slight drop on the right-hand side, that'll bend the lever. Those levers, it's like they're made to bend, which I guess is good so it doesn't break anything internally, but the way it's designed is that it'll bend so far behind the peg plate there. And then once that happens, the brake lever can just be stuck on. It can trip the cruise control all the time, and you'll never get it bent straight back to normal. So I feel like that's a thing that they can fix up in their future models. And for me, I'm using the Camel ADV brake lever. It's super, super solid. If you can change the one on the F900, do that. The OEM crash bars on the F900 have a design flaw. There's a whole section of the engine case that's exposed to low passing objects. One of the boys from the team, just after we finished the adventure rally, he clipped a rock and it hit the engine case and it cracked it. Luckily, there was a guy there, which was some putty. They plugged it up and everything, and they were good to travel another 12 hours. But it cracked the engine case with the crash bars on it. I don't really like the sound. I know it's just the stock exhaust and everything, but it literally sounds like a bag of nuts and bolts just rattling around. Blah, 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 blah. Easy. But in saying that, one of the boys on the GS Safari who owned an F900 did a pipe on it and it sounded wicked. I don't have any footage of it, which I was spewing about, but it sounded really good. For me, I love the 270-degree crank. It's one of the reasons why I bought this. And the Street Scrambler, I love it, man. Just sounds like a full-on V8. And also, yeah, parts are more expensive and there's a higher chance of getting stranded out in the middle of nowhere due to all the stuff that can go wrong, especially like even the quick shifter. As much as I loved it, I'd rather not have it just in case your quick shifter stuffs up and you can't change gears, man. Stuff that.
Did you break your gear lever?
Just stick an old flickable lever on and happy days, man. T7. They're the cons for the F900. The cons for the T7 are that it's top heavy. We've already explained that, you've heard that a million times. The suspension is quite soft, particularly the front. I was gonna change it, but I've been sort of like, I'm not doing crazy jumps. I'm not going full blown pro on this thing, you know. I ride roads a lot on it before getting to trails. I like the comfort. Bottomed out on it maybe like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. I don't know if that warrants me wanting to stiffen up the suspension and, you know, go down that path. I hate how the ABS turns on automatically after turning it off and back on again. You can just stall it and then that way it just stays off all the time when you just need it to stop and then go again. But it's so dangerous. You forget, you're going for it and then you're like, oh, I need to slow down. Brrr, ABS is on. It's silly. I know they have to do it, but it's silly. It's more dangerous than if it just stayed off. I wouldn't recommend this for, you know, city riding. If you want a bike that you can ride around in the city and you just want to visit some trails every now and then, go for a little adventure ride, nothing too crazy serious, then I wouldn't suggest the T7 unless you're super tall and you can touch the ground really nicely and you're very comfortable about wheeling it back into car parking spots and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, go for it. But otherwise, yeah, it is a cumbersome bike, you know. It's not as nimble or doesn't feel as light as the F900. And again, like I said, it's not the best first adventure bike. It's big. I've dropped this thing so many times. I mean, I'd put the drop count to the test, I guess. Everything holds up so fine. It's built to drop. I dropped the F900 twice and I just crap my pants. So scared about destroying or anything on it, really. Finally, the thing that's probably the worst out of everything is the location of the exhaust. You guys probably already know that if you drop your bike on this side, it pushes the exhaust up to the swing arm. If you don't know that it's done that and you just continue riding, it wears out a massive chunk in the swing arm and you have to replace the entire thing. If you keep on continuing bending this back out, you're gonna weaken the welds at the back there on the rail, and if they snap, it could potentially be classed as a write-off, which would suck just for that little thing. So yeah, if you're tossing up whether to buy the F900 or the T7, I feel like the F900 is great for the city commuter who wants to visit the trails every now and then or wants to go on a nice road tour. You have cruise control, you've got all the creature comforts and everything. Just be mindful of the smaller capacity tank. Yeah, just be mindful of the windshield as well. That's not the greatest thing. But man, it is a powerful machine. It is so fun on the trails. I had the opportunity to choose any GS when I did the GS Safari, but I went back to the F900 because it's me. If I was gonna buy a GS, I'd get the F900 for sure. Wicked bike. The T7, I feel, is suited for someone that's more into off-roading, who has trail bike experience and who is pretty serious about off-road adventure riding, because you can do so much to these things and you can take these things pretty far and it'll have you. So yeah, wicked bike. Don't get me wrong, you can still do nice long road tours on this as well. got nice high windscreen and everything. You might want to fit up cruise control and heated grips and all that sort of stuff if that's what you're more into. Also, if you love customizing your bike, I feel like there's not too much you can do with the F900 because of all the stuff. It's all integrated. It's already sort of done. It's set. You buy it, boom, you can go. With the T7, you can do stuff to it, you know what I mean? They're all very different. There's graphics kits. There are so many customizable options for the T7. You can have a bit of fun with it, you know? You can really make it yours. But just that base knowledge and that base understanding of adventure riding the F900 helped me put that knowledge into this. So I've become a better rider because of the F900. So yeah, the F900 is definitely better suited for a beginner ADV rider. I hope my experience with these bikes and me sharing this with you has helped you shed some light on options when it comes to choosing your next motorcycle, and if the F900 is more you or if the T7 is more you. Thank you so much Rec Watches for sponsoring this video. Feelz 40, get yourself a bit of Evel Knievel on your wrist. Don't let him influence you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Boys. Hope my battery's not flat. Crap. Look good though, eh? The lights on this, man. Lane Rider Moto lights, it looks sick. Let's see. Yeah, boy. All good. We're all good in the hood. See you guys. Bye.